So, shall we kick off? Yes, great. Welcome back, Endorse 2025. Hashtag Endorse 2025. If you saw or heard anything today to send out, please do. And those of you watching still online, please do note that. Also, the Slido will be open for questions, and the mic's open for questions too afterward. On this final panel, talking about open statistical data in the European statistical system. And this is all about how centralized data governance, metadata, standardization, and interoperable data portals can enhance data usability, accessibility, and AI readiness across Europe, and probably beyond, I imagine, right? Because we got the FAO with us. So, okay, I think I will hand off to Christine. We do a lightning round, is that right? Yep. Okay. I think we need to turn it on. Is it already on? Also?
Can you hear me?
Ah, oui, voilà.
Yes, I am Christine Laboudy from Eurostat. I work for the statistical classification and link data team.
A little bit closer, mic closer.
Okay.
Yeah, comme ça.
So the task of Eurostat, one of the tasks of Eurostat is to produce a metadata for European statistics. As Eurostat publish a large amount of metadata in accordance to the European Statistic Code of Practice. And those metadata help to understand and interpret the statistical data. So we publish two types of metadata. Structural metadata like variables, dimension, attribute, code list, and statistical classification. And at the European level, our classification are used for the production of the statistic in the European statistical system. And we also publish reference metadata. So the reference metadata define the concept and the methodology used for the collection of statistics. And they also provide criteria about the quality of statistical data. And then to summarize, data and structural metadata must go together to ensure data compatibility and comparability and clarity. So our role in the Eurostat Link data team, we are responsible for the standardization and the dissemination of the statistical classification produced by Eurostat, and we apply a metadata standard called XCOS. So this is the extension of SCOS for the standardization of statistical classification. And our classification, they are available as link open data in Shovok, the tool provided by the publication office, and also via the Cellar API. So Cellar is the triple store also offered by the EU publication office.
Christine is the brain, and we are the arms, because I am Italian. I'm in the Italian statistics office. We apply what the Eurostat says. In particular, we apply this metadata and all the rules, and we produce statistics, and we are part of this European statistical system that runs around Eurostat. So what we can do, what we should do, is to provide high quality statistics. And statistics is very important, you know, even if probably it's not so exciting as a matter, but it's very important because policy making relies on statistics. Economics relies on statistics. All the world look to the statistics, European statistics. And we have a very, very good fame on that, because we know that we know that it's very strictly ruled, is very strongly enforced. All the reference data, everything here is ruled and is very, very well applied all around Europe. So Europe is really a best practice in the world for quality of statistics or statistical data. So I work in Rome, where is the headquarters of ISTAT, that is this statistical Italian office. Okay, you have it.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dorotea Sirvidita Demidavicine, and I work at State Data Agency, which is formerly known as Statistics Lithuania. So me and my colleague, Henrikas, we both work together at the Data Portal Modernization Project. Personally, I am responsible for developing taxonomies and also for metadata and interoperability and especially standards. So I work with DCAT and DCAT AP and its extensions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Henrikas Krukauskas. I'm a colleague of Dorotea, and just to think about like why we are here is because we would like to share more interesting approach about statistics and what we realized when we changed from Statistics Lithuania to State Data Agency. So quickly, short history about the institution. So we changed the mandate because we needed to find a way to get all the public sector data and start using it for analytics and data-driven decision-making in government. As far as I know, in Europe, many countries go through federated approach, and then they try to kind of get that data and disseminate through different methods. We decided to have a central institution that will just ingest the data from public sector institutions, all of them, make sure about the standards that they're compliant, and produce information. We were doing something similar with official statistics, and then we decided let's do everything else. So knowing the methodology and rules and standards of statistics, we started looking at open data, and we were like, how can we merge these two worlds together? And I think this is an interesting use case that we're gonna dig into today. So yeah.
Okay, my turn. Can you hear me? Caterina Caracciolo from FAO. I am based in Rome. FAO is the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. So the scope of the organization, as the name says, is global. So FAO does a massive work on data collection, analysis, interpretation, and dissemination in many areas, all areas of under its activities, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, poverty, development. And so it's the data collected is both quantitative, qualitative, and is largely used for publications about the state of, that's a flagship publication of FAO. So this is just to give you an idea of the variety of scope and interest of FAO in statistical data and the interoperability of data. Personally, I've been working on different areas. I worked with data on library catalogs, soil data, germplasm, passport data, and more recently, for a few years, I'm the designer and the technical coordinator of Caliper, which is an initiative linked database for the dissemination of statistical classifications. This is becoming so LOAD is becoming a technology of importance for not only the dissemination, but also the management of classifications inside FAO.
So I will.
we are all very eager to speak. I have the honor to be the chair in the LOD community of practice. So I am in the subgroup which is responsible for DCAT and it's enriching. So DCAT is data catalog vocabulary. Actually our work is it's rather slow, but it's very important. So we have members of different statistical organizations from different countries participating and trying to figure out how we can enrich DCAT descriptions. We work with different approaches, but our main aim is to understand what are the different and also same issues that we all share while trying to implement DCAT. Also, DCAT and, as my colleague reminded me, StatDCAT and DCAT EP and its extensions. So we had our first webinar about precisely these standards, these vocabularies. Our second webinar will be about SIMS and SDMX, and then we will divide into smaller subgroups. We actually have a little test subgroup with Statistics Austria, where we just in one meeting we figured out how many shared problems we have. So also I would like to take this opportunity to invite anyone that would be interested in enriching DCAT descriptions or trying to renew StatDCAT AP. I would really invite you to find me after this discussion, and maybe we can do some great work together.
Okay, so I will introduce the first challenge. The context of the first challenge. A central challenge today is statistical ecosystem, and in statistical ecosystem, how to make our data interoperable, accessible, and reusable across countries, statistical domain, and technologies. So despite the richness, these standards are not always fully compatible, and that make it harder to connect and reuse statistical information in practice. So on the right, you have a representation of the different statistical standards, format, and interoperability. So at the top layer, we have GESIM. GESIM is the General Statistical Information Model. So that's a conceptual model describing the different statistical information, such as the data structure, the exchange of statistical data, or the code list classification concept in general. And this standard could help for making the data interoperable as a basis. And then we have the implementation standard. So on the left, we have the SDMX world with XML as the output format. So we have SDMX used for exchanging statistical data and metadata. And we have also SIMS for reference metadata. And then on the right, we have the RDF world with the SCOS XCOS data model for representing code list and classification. RDF data cube for representing data structure in RDF, and a DCAT and StatDCAT AP for describing statistical data in data catalog. So my question to the panelists. So the first question is which metadata standards are most crucial today, and how they can evolve to support AI-driven analysis, and what obstacle exist in aligning standards, LOD or AI, and how can we keep them relevant as technology evolve. The floor is open.
Oh, yes. So I think we will answer our opinion on this. So because, as I said, we are centralizing the data management and producing all these different data types like official statistics, open data, geospatial data. Um, all metadata standards are important. Some of them are important because of the legal basis. Each country, most of the time, legalize certain metadata standards like we did. SIMS is important for us to publish publicly. And SDMX is important to be shared across different statistical institutions. But then we have DCAT and StatDCAT, and our goal right now was to build this portal that will accommodate all these types of data and will not distinguish that it's different in any way. It is different conceptually, but practically it's all open data, let's say that. DCAT was created to disseminate that stuff, disseminate all these data sets. So when we were trying to implement StatDCAT, we realized, okay, StatDCAT doesn't work with statistics. It has too many rules and too many different concepts. As Christine said, GSIM explains a lot of entities, and boy, oh boy, in open data, those entities don't work. So we realized that these challenges to adapt statistical metadata standards to StatDCAT, we need to do something. So yeah, we're working right now. We were talking in this conference with many people to understand if some conceptual things that we have in mind will work. And in some way we realized that it might, so it's a good progression. But yeah, I think in that sense, it's very important. And maybe
Sometimes we want to to align our standards data model, but in fact we are not talking about the same concept. So for instance, we run an exercise for mapping SDMX and DDI, which is another standard for describing statistical data and metadata. And at the end, we discovered that for some element we are not talking about the same concept. So I think that GESIM or even the SDMX glossary are very important for understanding the metadata element. And we could bring the definition into the exercise of mapping our standards for. And it also could help AI for understanding the meaning of the metadata elements.
I completely agree. In my opinion, I think that DCAT AP is amazing for interoperability, but it gives us structure, but SIMS and SDMX, it gives us the richness and the depth of knowledge, and they are the key standards, but the real priority is making them interoperable, like aligning them with each other. Because, like, for example, StatDCAT AP is it has to be renewed to align with the new DCAT AP. And for example, SDMX, we don't have it in RDF form. So that is also a problem. And I think aligning those standards with each other would make them interoperable and also make them machine readable and AI ready.
Okay, so I will ask my last question to Katharina. Katharina, can you share a use case where standards improve interoperability and accessibility and the lesson learned?
Yes, so absolutely. I will talk about my personal experience. So our work at FAO right now in statistics, we are working on the transfer and conversion of the statistical classifications, metadata, standards, and code lists from tabular database formats into LOD, so linked data. Classifications and metadata and code lists are actually, let's say, the very first basis to achieve interoperability, as long as the actual meaning of any piece of data is in the dimension of the data. So the item that describe the number that is in the data set. So if we talk about a geographical region, there would be a code for the geographical region. If we talk about an item for production or species or commodities, any sort of this. And so it's very important that the meaning and the actual organization of this code list and metadata can be passed around the different information systems that they use it. So we are in the process of moving from a relational database to a LOD type of organization. The benefits actually are already very visible. We have from along the entire line of uses and applications. So we have happier colleagues working with the content because they have a nicer visualization and better lookup services. We have much smoother and faster connection with the information systems themselves. So whereas we used to have different, connectors from the various applications for, cleanup or survey composers and so on, we only use the Sparkle endpoint. And so the query associated. The metadata specification is also being improved because we can rely on the vocabularies for metadata that are standard and that can easily used and composed by our colleague. So it's not all, so far so good. I mean, it's moving well. There are challenges and there are lessons learned. One challenge is definitely that you cannot really delegate everything to the technical, to the techniques. You still need governance on the data. You still need the control on how data is passed around, how codes are managed, how code lists are composed, starting from the standard classifications. Same applies to the metadata for at the level both of the data sets, entire data sets, and at the level of specific items. And in particular, this is a point where I think we still need to work, dedicate work. So moving from a table to RDF or to LOD and using predicates from standard vocabularies is great. But still, the actual labels in the move, or the actual content and definitions in the move, they stay as they are. So we could have a code list, a dimension talking about even a country that seems something very stable, but country, change territory or change names, and so there is a problem of identity there. And there is a problem of definitions in, say, notion of forest or notion of fish, of organism, and so on. So lessons learned, so to speak, or direction of work, is to identify the level of metadata, the metadata needed to specify the meaning of the dimension. Bear with me with the terminology of the statisticians. And make it explicit. So for both for the people who look at the data and for the machines that hopefully will use the data somehow, visualization, processing, and so on.
Can I ask a question? So you said the whole data you move from tabular to RDF. So you store the data instances in RDF too, basically, the whole data sets.
I'm talking about the dimension classifications.
Okay.
So things like countries for areas or groups or list of species or
so just
list
like
of products.
yeah. And how do you map them? You just do like because that's like another question that we were like facing for RDF formats sometimes. I will share just like one example quickly. So we were trying to build ontology on 2 data sets in our Lithuania, but like when I say data sets, I say the whole data was parsed in RDF. So we put that in, and the system crashed because it was too much. And those 2 data sets, one consists of all anonymized and confidentiality built data set about individuals of the country, and another one was based on legal entities like institutions, companies and stuff, and we're trying to create that ontology on top. So it's maybe not related fully to the codeless, but the thing is that like are you planning to move your data sets fully to RDF, like to parse each codes and each lines of the data set?
No, this is not in the plan now.
Got you. Yeah. So we were trying to do ontology because that's how Sparkle works in that sense with the data itself. If you want to bring insights from the data, you put it at, but it didn't work. So we're seeing that in terms of like metadata in the future also, this is also a big problem. How will growing amount of data be contained into the triple stores that cannot handle that much of RDF?
Maybe there is not even need for that.
I don't know.
Consider, I mean, it will depend on the applications and the
The technical layer. Just to finish the first challenge, I would like to provide a use case where we map our data thanks to the XCOS metadata standard. So maybe you know that between the Eurostat classification and UN classification, we have correspondence table. So Caliper is hosting a UN classification. And so we are able to query our correspondence table and extract Eurostat metadata and UN metadata based on store in Caliper via API request. Okay.
May I add two things. In our experience in Italy, interoperability means not only between statistics offices, so with you, but also interoperability with the rest of the world, of the Italian entities that provide data, the administrative data that we use for making statistics, also private sector, why not? So this interoperability has a different dimension when you involve subjects that are not deeply in standards, that don't work in standards. So your question about standards has 2 phases. When we speak here, we speak of people that work with standards, that really create standards. The rest of the world suffer from that because they have private-based standards, so let me say practical approaches for IT, for example, that is driven by the business and not by our need for valuable statistical data. In Italy, there is an innovative project called the National Data Catalog that should be considered like metadata, not data really. This is led by ISTAT, by the Italian National Statistical Office, because with this infrastructure, it is a shared catalog, we try to gain trust from all the subjects involved that are private, public, and all the entities in the public sector. In Italy, we have some 8,000 city councils, and all of them should provide their data, anagraphical data, for example, or whatever. And this is the problem is to share with them, so to ask them to adapt their systems, their approaches, their methodology, and interoperability. This is the very challenge for interoperability, in our opinion. We use all the technology that you can imagine, that you mentioned, as the mix, for example, is typical, but we struggle in applying the latest standard, the 3.0, because applications are not renewed and updated on the periphery every time, but just once or over 3 years, let me say.
Okay. Yes, I can compare your example with the metadata managed at the level of the European Commission. So we discovered that we had the same code list or metadata managed by the different DGs, and so we are leading an exercise in the framework of the metadata reference data management group, and so we are standardizing some concepts such as countries and territories. Now we are working on a corporate code list for agricultural project, and so we are defining, yes, core metadata that must be used by the EC communities and the DG. Yes, and we assign a persistent identifier to each code in order to harmonize the process.
The point is that you put interoperability in the challenge. Interoperability is not among us only, among the big institutions, is with the rest of the world also. So, can I move to the second challenge? Yes. Okay. I need something to go on. Only challenge 1 here. Further? Really? Okay, that's us. So, the second challenge is about technology. I am a technologist in character lent to statistics in recent times. So I would like to that me and Caterina show you some of the challenges that are posed by technology, because we have a lot of new technology, and we have seen today in the morning, also in the afternoon, but how this technology can help the European statistical system as a whole to make better use of statistical data. And let me say that when we speak of statistical data, we are speaking of a very important asset, economically speaking, and also as an investment related to that. We are noting that the characters are not the same, but don't matter. Caterina, please.
Okay, I'm actually at birth, let's say, so to speak, I'm a philosopher. And then computer science as a PhD, but let's say I completed a study in philosophy. And what I kept, I would say, from philosophy is to start from the basics, you know, from the ground. So when I face a question like this, I would start thinking, okay, so better use, what is a use and what is a good use and what should be a use to begin with. And the use of statistical data to me is, as the name suggests, is data about the state, both as a state of, country, nations, organization, but also the state of affair, the state of reality. So why do we do all this effort? We make all this effort into collecting data? Because we want to have an idea of what's going on out there. And then we want to be able to do something about with the data we have, and that's another layer, other type of problems. Also, other people working on that. So what to me the important thing about so what I want from the data is to be able to understand it well. So the interpretation should be unambiguous. It should be also safe, secured from corruption and misinterpretation, misleading, and so on. And should also, and when I say clear, understandable, everything, I mean the data, the way it was collected, so the methodology, the standards used, the unit of measure, and so on. And also, I would like to have it to make sense of the data in its context. And that's why I want to have interoperability. I want to be able to put, to understand the meaning of the data in the context of other phenomena. So for agriculture, it could be the production. To understand agriculture, I would need to have information about the production, about the soil, the climate, the demographics of the country, and so on and so forth. So everything, all technology, any technology that goes towards this direction, I mean, this that help users, humans and machines alike, to work better on this is welcome. So in a way, it's also a bit of ironic and interesting that we make all the effort to simplify the reality, to isolate variables and make measures with single variables, and then we make a lot of effort to put them back together to have a feeling of the complexity of the world. The technologies that we have mentioned so far, many contributes that my personal view, also based on my personal skills and background. I see a value in the RDF/LD technology. In part, I've already mentioned why, but I would like to emphasize the importance of having the global identifiers and the importance of having the property in the triples, having the properties, so the middle part of the triple coming from standard vocabularies. Because this really allows us to point to point at things, at anything that could be real objects or notions, and to with some reasonable expectation to be unambiguous about what we mean with the use of predicates coming from standard vocabularies. Other technologies that are certainly important on this, APIs, well, is even, I mean, it's almost obvious there is nothing without APIs nowadays, but that's a very important piece of technology to be able to programmatically access data. The AIs and the content model protocol as well are interesting as an abstraction layer on top of the specific APIs. And also we have been vague, I mean, a little bit also we touched on the EU initiatives on risk of AI. So on the and this, I think, it's an interesting notion to acquire, that there are, to acknowledge that there are risks in the use of data in their composition. For example, if the uncertainty is lost, this is it's a big risk of, simplification and the misunderstanding. So I'm very curious to see how the EU risk policy is going to be implemented also across the various countries.
Thank you, Caterina. I want just to point two things. The first one is Directive 2019-1024, called the Open Data Directive, that introduces the concept of high-value datasets. Nothing new. The point is that among the thematic categories of HVDs, there is a statistics. Statistics category of high-value dataset. So this means that statistics is a wider usage than before. Let me. Oh, it's terrible. It's a disaster because the file is corrupted. But anyway, let me come back here. The point is that when you have so many different users, so many different usage of the same data, you have more responsibility with the meaning of this data. So we need much more alignment with we spoke of alignment today between AI and people. Okay, first of all, we should have alignment between people, but also alignment with AI is a big problem here, because opening the fence and the constraints, we are saying that statistical data can be used mechanically, machine to machine. And when we speak of AI ready, and all the day we spoke of that, we need the automatic and unmanned usage of this data. So this adds a new dimension to the problem. The problem is when we should agree between us, the agreement, the consensus that we heard of today in the morning. When we speak of consensus among people, it's a matter. When we speak of consensus between automatic agents, is another problem, completely different and unsolved at the moment. All the standards that we have seen don't solve this kind of problem. So we opened the way for an automatic and unmanned usage of statistical data for production and generation. When I mean a generation, I mean a big thing of completely new types of statistics that are called, in our jargon, unofficial statistics, but they are statistics as well. Now we face this challenge that is not only technological, it's a matter of interpretation. When we speak of AI, we speak of a user and a producer of official statistics that produce non-official statistics at the end. You in Eurostat have organized two big projects, online job advertisement and online-based enterprise characterization is the name. These two projects use AI for integrating web scraped data, and these data are used for new statistics. So that's new because we are trying to innovate the production, not only the meaning of the data, of the statistics. And there's an impact on the data that we are using. Let me say that when we speak on methodology of official statistics and so, we are speaking of an old world. Now the world is coming, the new world is coming. The last thing that I would like to tell you is this. we have seen today a lot of multiple entities that have APIs and Sparkle endpoints, and they serve different user communities with different technical needs. All these entities that are sparse in Europe should ensure, in a way, a consistent synchronization of metadata, because otherwise we have unofficial sources of information. To have this management, we need a robust, centralized system that does not happen at the moment. We need a single source of trust in this metadata. After this metadata, we have the cascade of usages, including AI. So this is part of the story, in my opinion, that is that's coming. I don't know when exactly, but it will come. What do you think about it?
Yes, so I was listening and I was like, we're looking for the future, but I always say the future is now, so I might just share some examples what we do as a centralized institution, and I think it kind of smoothly goes into the third challenge, that is data governance and what approaches can we take as member states in European Union to think about standardization and just working with the data. So many countries in European Union, especially big ones, they take approach of federated approach, where basically there's an institution that has a centralized, let's say, metadata portal, like for example, Italy, and they have a standard that they give to other institutions, and then they comply and provide that data. We decided to go a little bit differently. We decided that we will get the data first, and then we will describe the data. And then when we describe the data, we can understand how the metadata standard will work for us. As I mentioned, we worked with all the DCAD extensions. We mapped them, except StatDCAD, because it's not easy to map. Statistics is the most ruled metadata standard, but in the end, what helped us is, because we were a statistics institution at the beginning, we had all these data science methods of producing statistics, calculating different samples and all that stuff. And then we gradually went further to enhance our knowledge and go deeper into data science. We started applying machine learning to just general stuff in any public sector data. So as an example, most of our statistics right now come from public sector data. We still have some surveys that we do to collect data, but it's much easier to just use what we have and it's defined by the law and it's correct. So for example, we take information from the registry of taxes, and we can actually do some statistics about the companies and their financial data. So in that case, we make it more accurate, and then we go further with that. So one of the very cool use cases, talking about how we employ the data that we have using both statistics and open data and then AI. We had a use case from the government to figure out if we can automatically understand the energy efficiency of a building. So for us, it was, okay, we have different registries where you have that data. How can we merge it together? Here comes the metadata standard question. How do you know that 3 tables use the same identification code between the buildings? It could be different addresses and all that stuff. So for us, it was microdata that was an issue. And we started using classifications to, for example, territorial units. For like, there's a classificator nomenclature of territorial units, which defines the sublevels of locality. So we implemented those, and then we went further. We took some concepts from just open data, the core vocabularies, and we kind of created this like address taxonomy that goes from the top layer and employs statistics to the lower level that employs the coordinates of a location that we're talking about. And with that classification, we could enrich certain data sets with information regarding like accuracy. And then when you have this, it standardizes the column data. You can merge the tables. So going back to the challenge, we found different tables that could merge together, and then we can have certain information about the building itself, like what is the age of the building, has it been renovated, is there anything else that we need to know, how is the water system going to it, and then we created a statistical method to calculate automatically efficiency. As far as I know, it was a very successful project. We use it every day, and it helps us to project which other buildings do we need to renovate and give financing to. So it kind of was like a data-driven solution, and it just goes further and further in terms of like what we can do with a centralized approach. So yeah, so still the biggest problem is that we want to be compliant with European Union and with all the standards that come not only from Eurostat but also OECD, but all other statistical institutions, or maybe even like European institutions. But the issue is like sometimes they don't understand the problems of the whole model. They don't see the whole data. They see the fragments of data, and most of the time it doesn't work to explain the stuff, because official statistics, as I said, regulated. The law defines that you need to use some standard to explain the process of the statistics. We also have additional documents that say like you need to have a statistics methodology, which is written in Lithuanian, that I have to include and put it there. For us, it's a metadata that needs to be on the portal by the law. But there's no standard that kind of fully embraces this. So, you know, we can build something our own, but when EU decides to bring in the new standard that will break the system, what we'll do. So it's also like this way, how can we change the way how we standardize? I just went back to the standards, I really apologize. But literally that's like the biggest question, like how do we standardize in the future that it's more inclusive in general, you know? So even like the statistics, as you said, the standards are like here, but like what if AI comes in, what's next? So, you know, so yeah. Maybe to tie everything together, so why am I talking about the centralization of the data as a construct? When the user comes for data, it looks for data. We go to Google to find everything in one place. It doesn't matter. And for us, it was the same question. It doesn't matter if you're looking for open data or statistics. It should be a central approach. So we decided to create basically a vector search model, which would take DCAT as a concept and map it and create like a vector database, so you can, with the query, find what you're looking for. For example, you're looking for specific data. It could be official statistics, it could be open data. When we don't have a standard yet, we cannot do it in the same way. So that's, yeah.
Yes, so if you generate new data from non-official and official data, you could describe the new generated dataset with MLDCAT, for instance, and document how you created the dataset.
But there is a purpose, you know, for MLDCAT. It's for like more machine learning data sets. So it's corpus data, it's some kind of other data that you define for currently I work with corpus data the most, but there's different types of data, and it's still not the same, you know. Official statistics is official statistics, so.
Sure. So we can move to the next challenge, or you want
We finished, I think, the challenge. Yeah. Yes. Oh, so now we, okay. Okay, yeah, I kind of just like sweep through and then went into the challenge. Yeah, so yeah, what do you think about the approaches in terms of like centralization? Yes.
centralization?
Yes, so as a concept that we have. What if you have an institution that gets all the data and then cleans the data, enforces all the compliance like GDPR and everything else, which is crazy, I understand, but that's what we did. And we're small, I get it. But imagine if you have 600 people working in one institution and then producing that data and using that data more in depth and further to produce some kind of analysis for the government to make more informational decisions.
I move to air the question.
Especially, yes.
I don't think that's possible for Eurostat because the data collection is based on a regulation or agreement.
So we do use agreement system. So we come to the institution and we are like, okay, we will scan your information systems and get the structure of your databases. After that, we know what's there in a concept. We talk to them and we're like, do you know what's in your data? Some of them know, some of them don't. So then we're like, okay, can we get a sample? We get a sample, we're like, okay, we know what's in your data. So we try to explain it to them, what do they have? And then when we all know all this, we decide, okay, what can we take in to the lake? We have the state data lake. And how can we use it? What is usable from that data? And step by step, we just collect the data and we give them agreements. They're like, okay, you can take this and use it. And you do it manually. It's by the law, you know. And it's crazy, but we've been doing this for 3 years. And so far we have right now more than 100, I think 20 institutions and more than, I think 2 million data sets, data tables that are the institutional data tables. So yeah, so for us, it's, you know, we're a small country, it's much easier because there's gonna be a tab that we will take in. And yeah, but for bigger countries, I think it's also a problem because, you know, we have Eurostat and we have Data Europe Publication Office that CEMIC define the standards. Then we have the national standards and each country has their own national standard. And then do we know if those are interoperable in between? So far it's been kind of hard to say. And then, you know, further less. So when you have like a central institution that sees your local data and then knows the standards because they use them for a long time, like statistics, you know, maybe that's an approach. Crazy thought, I know.
Want to say something?
No.
No, I just want to say that in any technological system or platform, you have this tension between centralization and decentralization and federation. So just under the technological viewpoint, we learned in many fields, like what happened with internet, time after time. We have had this tension that find an equilibrium with a level of decentralization that is not complete but is enough. I see that when we spoke before of a central management or something, I meant metadata, not data. For metadata, I think that there is no way. We cannot avoid a central point of trust for what we define. Even if, as you see for the CAT, we have many levels, many layers of definition. Time after time is slow, don't scale probably enough. We can improve, but there should be something like a central authoritative entity. Instead, about the production, statistical production, I don't see that. It's impossible because we need on the field, knowledge on the field to make statistics. So it's something that is not technological. It's a problem that is a human-based problem, consensus, and we need people that speak with other people many times, not always, but many times. I don't see at the moment this problem in this way. Chris. We have to call Chris.
Let's go to Q&A.
In field.
Questions on the Slido. And I had a statistics class when I was at Berkeley, but that was a long time ago, so I don't remember a lot of things. But I do remember a quote by Mark Twain, which some of you might know. There are lies, damn lies, and statistics. He was actually quoting Benjamin Disraeli, a British prime minister, but that's also of dubious authenticity. But I mean, the point is that the misuse of statistics or the misinterpretation of statistics, the parallel realities that exist these days, where people put your well-founded statistics into question. It's quite a challenge, isn't it? But I think the burden is on you to come forth with reliable statistics that are also interfaceable among at least the EU 27 and beyond with the FAO. Would someone like to comment on that? I mean, how much do you feel that pressure to have reliable statistics that people can use for policy making, for their lives, for their businesses? Anybody want to comment on that?
I can answer. When we produce statistics, we make sure that we are impartial. Even if we make a statement about the statistics that we produce, it should be very just like, pure numbers. It increased by that, it decreased by that. But then someone just takes it and they can misinterpret it. And this happens quite often, especially with some politicians.
Yep.
They like to misinterpret statistics by a lot.
Yep, or they just call it fake news.
Exactly.
Or a Bureau of Labor Statistics person on the other side of the Atlantic gets fired for coming forth with the real stuff. What about that?
In that case, I think there's always people that will come in and they'll be like, you're misinterpreting statistics. So it's on the people. It's not on us, I would say.
Yeah, anybody else like to comment before we go to...
Yeah, I will pick up on this. So let's say everybody, each of us does what they can, right, in their area of scope of activity. So my perspective on being on the technical side is to reduce the possibility of misinterpretation, intentional or unintentional. It can also be unintentional.
Sure.
For example, when there is a fine print that tells a lot about the methodology of the the categories used for the data collection and so on. So as long as, our role is to provide not only the data, but the tools for the visualization, the computation, the interpretation that minimize as much as possible this, the possibility of.
Yeah, and I'm sure that, among the EU 27, I guess there are standards that are at least supported, but with the FAO, it's very challenging around the world. How do you have reliable statistics on which to operate, on which to base your FAO policies and your studies? It's challenging, but...
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Are there any questions via microphone? Yes. Mark.
Oh, look, I got red. I'm Mark Dietrich with the Green Deal Data Space. I have a comment, which I'm hoping you'll respond to. The last couple of statements have been about centralization and coming up with common code lists. And you've made the point, Chris, that, it's easy in the EU 27. It's not. Even within forestry, there are arguments about the species of trees. This is biology, but yet there are arguments going on, different code lists in different countries for what trees are being grown in that country. So it's a real thing, and rather than fight this natural segmentation, I think there's a good argument for a federated approach. Italy has its 8,000 communes, feeding data up to probably the provinces, and they to the big mother in Rome, and then even further to Brussels or Luxembourg. So I think that's the norm, and I would throw that out. There are also arguments about the nature of the data being collected, because sometimes it seems quite benign, but in climate change and environmental policy, it can be very contentious about how much land is being used for agriculture. And what is the production of methane or the production of CO2 or the sequestration of CO2? Yeah. So there are arguments at a political level about what we are doing in this country about X and Y. So if you could comment on that, I'd be interested to hear your views.
Yeah, I would like to comment, Fabrizio.
It's perfect. I can say.
You agree?
More than in Italy, we have a lot of production of wine. You know. Vineyard, yeah. and they don't agree with the name of the plants, even because it's a matter of economy. Because a single place, a single field makes money, and the same plant just aside does not make the same money as a different tradition. So they don't agree that they have the same name in 1 kilometer of distance.
Yeah.
The same plant, genetically speaking, but if you provide when they provide the genetic proof, it's not enough.
Yeah,
they don't believe, they don't agree, no consensus, and so and so.
So, as a statistician, how do you deal with that?
What
do you do?
It happens every day.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know why, but it's difficult, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, shall we? Yep.
I could add. I think because we're smaller and we don't have to deal with the bigger landscape, for us it's much easier, but it's still, we have these language differences that come with even small regions that we have. So in that case, we always go to terminology. We just bring in, and if someone said that, we put it in. And then you have this kind of explanation if it's necessary. So I think it's possible, but it's hard to do.
Okay. Question on the Slido. Question for Henricus. How do you ensure you have the necessary domain expertise in your centralized approach?
There's a lot of people working in our institution. It's around 600, and statistics covers all the domains, you know. So we do have experts in these domains, and we always can come to them when we get data from a specific domain and ask, like, what do you think about this? So we try to work together. Very interesting thing that the people that work with us, some of them come from not data engineering or computer science concepts. We have a lot of psychologists, we have artists that came in, and now they're one of the best programmers that we had. And that gives us approach to be more innovative in the data, because it's not that hard to understand the concept when you talk to people, and we talk to people all the time. So,
okay, maybe a question for Christine. How do you see the European statistical system in the future, e.g. in 5 years? What changes, improvements do you envisage?
Oh.
If you could be king.
Yes. I'm yes.
Plus près.
I'm a metadata specialist, and I'm sorry, but I cannot reply to this question.
Anybody else like to spout on that? No.
Yes.
Can I take a guess?
Okay. Yeah.
Just a guess. I think we will have StatDCAD that will be great, and it will work for most of the European Union, and that will help us to look into the data portals next. Can we have decentralized portals for the countries so that they can, even if it's federated approach, the standardization of the DCAD will have the unification of all of it. And then there will be AI. If AI knows what to eat, it will eat and it will find it.
Okay. All right. Next question. How should we combat the miscollection of statistics by national statistics bureaus? Miscollection, entre guillemets. Even in the EU 27 statistics for unemployment, median salaries, homelessness, and especially poverty-related statistics have different recording methods or different thresholds, intentional or not. How do we combat the miscollection? Or can you call it miscollections? There's just different ways of collecting them. How do you deal with that? What's the answer?
Specialistic topic.
Yeah.
We can't comment on that.
Yeah, Enrique, you seem to have all the answers there.
I just work with everyone in my institution, so I think that the methods are not different. Every country has, every specific field of statistics has working group where they share their methodologies and they go to conferences and they talk about it. Over collection, I think the more data we have, the better we will make the insights.
Well, it was miscollection. Not only.
Miscollection. I don't think it's miscollection. I think it's, you know, statistics has been for a long time. We use it, there are standards. It upgrades, but not as much anymore because we tend to go to data science, machine learning and stuff.
Mhm.
So it's old science. You can't miscollect.
Okay, next question. Standards are a form of centralization. Centralization is not equal to a single organization. Standardization is the willingness to agree and the willingness to adapt. Standards should cater for making the disagreements visible. What? This is a statement. No comment, right? No. Okay. All right, next one. Regarding the example of building energy efficiency mentioned by Enriquez, shouldn't the European Union step up, lead the process, and ensure consistent standards and methods for such exercises? Anybody like to comment?
My personal opinion, maybe let's not standardize, but like think how we can, you know, we're talking about data spaces and it's a very important use case. How do we get the data? There's new initiatives of health data spaces that will be coming. Many countries are going to be struggling to collect the health data because most of the health data is stored in the information systems of that country. And those systems, I call them the monsters. It's going to be crazy to deal with so much data in the future. So let's not standardize what we do with the data. Let's maybe figure out how do we get the data and then try to see what we can do with it.
Right.
It's for each country.
Okay, any other comments on that?
Yeah, I
Fabrizio?
completely agree. The focus is not on producing new statistics or, inventing new statistics, but in getting into data, organizing the data in the data spaces and provide data. And different sectors of society will make their own statistics for their own aims, like investments, for example, in the private sector. Most important thing is curated data, trusted data. Data spaces is here for that.
Okay, good. I think let's go to the sum up by, I think it's, Christine, are you doing that? No, Katarina's doing the sum up of this panel, right?
Yes, it's a more challenging task than I thought.
It is, yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Yeah, so I was asked to do some wrap up and put together, extract the salience part of the discussion. And the discussion went a little bit all over the place. But if I can, so my view, my understanding of what's going on here is that we have very different perspectives. Meaning so the national NSOs, the National Statistical Offices, a representative of the decentralization of the data collection side, and me personally, I'm not really. I work in an organization that has a global scope, but not mandatory, so FAO doesn't really impose anything, but it's more like a facilitator of international agreements. And as we already mentioned in several sessions, agreements is something it's a long process, complicated, difficult, and never perfect. So we touched on starting from the back, this tension between centralization and federation slash decentralization that seems to be, I mean, we had a continuous jump between the technical and the non-technical approach. So it's centralized, giving a single standard, or negotiating something different. Not sure whether this is the role of the standard, but so there was a DCAT as a central, at least to the European discourse, and European NSO's practice is central. So it feels like, looks like something very serious is going on around that. I can. We had, I found interesting this notion of the statistics from the past and from the future. This is also a discussion that is very lively in my area, in my circle of, so there are those who would like to abandon the old, let's say, current way of doing statistics and just rely on other methods. You know, nowadays you can take data from basically anywhere, sensors and, you know, any interaction on the web, you know. This is something very, it's a very hot issue, together with the role of artificial intelligence. Whether is it going to, the question is it going to replace the current practice? We in this panel only tangentially touched this AI thing, but it's obviously it's there on the table. And I think the most relevant point that emerged in this sense is the need of trust in data. That's something that is going to be even more important in the future. And I believe organizations like mine and my colleagues, I mean, we all will consider a very important part of our work that, you know, we offer the word trust, well-curated data. Something also interesting, or a point that, you know, called for my attention, was the notion of users. Who are our users? The users of Christine's are the national statisticians. My users might be, you know, other international organizations. All users for all of us are citizens, but also applications of any sorts, even the AI applications that haven't been built yet. I think this is a need to address all these different users. There was also something about the difference between public and private produced and own data. Not much discussion on this, but I think that's also something that it's very important. And possibly the fact that we all work in the area of open standards, it's something that is an extra value. I consider a duty for my work. I consider a duty to work in the open everything, you know, source, access, etc. An addressed and important thing was the synchronization of metadata and the possibility of you know, getting, as I understanding, metadata aligned and updating along the line of the life cycle of data sets. And I think my notes are these are my notes. I invite my fellow panelists to rectify or integrate what I said.
Any additions, corrections, comments to the minutes? We're good? Tutto bene? Yep. Okay. Well, I think we can wrap this up today. This is the track one of day one. I've learned a lot. I'm sure you have as well. We've had a lot of good interaction between the speakers, between you, and those of you out there in cyberspace who are connected and sending your questions via Slido. We will do this again tomorrow. More track panels, a lot of very, very focused conversations on different aspects of data, plus looking toward the future and with conclusions and recommendations on how we can unlock, as DG Hilda Hardeman said this morning, unlock the power of data. That's what we will be doing tomorrow. Keep in mind, hashtag endorse 2025 for anything you see or heard. And yeah, we have a cocktail now right outside. You can go there early, 10 minutes early. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thank you.